Hello everyone, and welcome yet again to another video. This video is not really about me in SCL. This is me still playing, don't worry about it. But as you guys know, I play SCL where I am a supervisor in both the dispatching and signaling departments. However, I play another game on the side, and today, 15 minutes ago, I achieved 1000 chess elo. If you guys don't know what chess is a game where you usually play on boards in real life or online, and I recommend you check it out because it's a very nice game. Doesn't work. Okay, my kind of thing here, I don't know what it's called. You can see I'm French. Doesn't want to work. Anyways, we'll start off with our first game. I was 970 elo. We'll go all the way from at the beginning of this game. I was 958, I think, something, or 960, and I climbed to 970. I won this game. And we'll start off this game by a clear opening. I want to push my pawn like this to lock in the center, kind of. Even though Starfish doesn't want it to happen, it still is happening actually. We have knight to c6. Then I lock in with both of my center pawns, which is quite nice. I develop my knight. They take, I take, and they just pin my knight to my queen, like this, with their bishop. I do the same thing but to their king, so they just do a random move, I guess. I attack their bishop, they take me. And here it is very important you don't rush into taking this bishop. This is not the right move to do at all, I would say. There is a better move that I found. It was bishop takes knight on c6. Making them react, very important to make them react, and therefore they have to take our bishop with their pawn, damaging their pawn structure here, you can see, and then I can finally take back. This is shown as great because it is the only move that gives the advantage. You can, by the way, see the advantage here. Now, we continue on the game by developing a bit more pieces, just me going back there. I wanted to check them here because their king was like this, and this is the best move. Was it the best move? Because this check is useful, it makes the king move, and no piece can safely guard them. If you put the knight here, I just take the knight. It's a free knight, and you still have to move away. So, yeah, so they just moved the king. Easy enough. And here you can pause the video if you wish and try to find the brilliant sacrifice. I sacrificed the bishop. Bishop takes g5. This is a brilliant move because if they end up taking, I take the rook. And I am therefore up, you can see it down there, 3 points of material. Now, of course, they are 940, so they're not going to blunder that. And instead, they play queen to b2 and attack actually this pawn down there. And I do not take in consideration that. I just moved my bishop to a square where it is protected by the pawn, and the bishop also protects the pawn. And they just simply took, which is the only winning move for them. And I castled because I was like, if they take my rook, I move my knight, making them move, you know. So they took the rook, I took their rook, I moved my knight there once they are like this, and we continue on with the game. Now, let's be very clear, I'm up 0 advantage. There is 0 advantage for me here in this position due to the simple fact that this whole side here of the board is actually all black. So black can just push the pawns and promote queens, and I would be lost. but I ended up winning the game, and let's see how I did it. So, I retrieve my bishop, they blunder here, and I found the correct move. This is a fork between the king and the bishop. And when I take the bishop, when you see they only have one legal move, that's forced, kind of, but if you want to block with the bishop. But I take with check, which is just very important. And now, after this, actually, I just keep checking them, and that's again another fork with the knight now gone. They move the king, I move my queen, and they just resign. So that's how I won my first game, with the little brilliant move. It's a classic move, by the way. Bishop takes g6 or g5. I don't know. It was one of the one of them. Anyways, so after this, let's pass on to our next game here against a dear American, where we just played an opening casually. We did a really good during the opening. But I was still kind of fighting for the center, but he just took with the knight easy. I took with my knight, and we continue on the game. Now I need to, of course, to protect the pawn in the center. I don't want to lose it. I protect it with the knight, which is activating a piece, and also protecting the pawn. They put the bishop there for a purpose that cannot be known to man. And Starfish says I'm up one pawn right there if I do the correct move sequence. But anyways, I don't. So I just put in my queen on the board and I get it going. They develop, I develop. They do a mistake here. I was like, eh? I think they meant to castle. They meant to do, oh, excuse me. They meant to do here this move, which is far better, I think. That's actually an excellent move. But they did this, giving me the advantage, and right when they gave me the advantage, I blunder. I was like, what? And I just blunder because they take my bishop. I take back with the knight, they take back over there, and now I'm fucked. Let's put it that way. I bring my rook back, and actually that is a battery. But the battery is just useless because there is a bishop. And we continue on the game, of course. They gave me a free knight, by the way. They gave me a free knight, and now I'm back into the game. But they keep fighting. They're attacking my queen. It's not easy to move my queen anywhere. I move it here because I want a queen trade because I'm up material. But they just don't. Yeah, they just keep harassing my king. They take my queen now. And now they attack my knight. So they have a tempo, but I don't. But I'm still up a bit of material. So how do I do this situation? How do I deal with this situation? I come back with the knight, attacking the bishop, and now I have a tempo, which is very nice. And we just keep on making improving moves. And finally, I sacrifice again the bishop. I'm in love with sacrificing bishop today. And he can't take because then the rook would be loose. I would take this, and that would actually be checkmate. Because this pawn that is so powerful on this outpost. But of course, that wouldn't happen if I didn't just blunder right after. Well, that's not a blunder, but that's an error actually. It goes back to being equal. I just wanted them to have a bad pawn structure that I can then target with my rook once my bishop moves. But I was too slow, and they actually took my knight back, and now they're winning. And I have to enable God mode. I have to enable God mode, and from this point forward, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I just do pretty much perfect moves. Let's not talk about that. But anyways, perfect. There, great, great. See, I have a pawn here, very powerful pawn, very powerful bishop, sitting all the way. And if this king just, you know, if I just move like this, okay, he doesn't want to move there anymore. But if back then the king just moved here, that was bad. Because of, yeah, this sacrifice here again of the bishop. That is, again, brilliant. But I just take back the rook, and now I'm completely winning. Bishop versus rook is absolutely losing. Now, but for humans, though, we don't do that. And they blunder they do be blundering here because of the move rook to h8. Rook to h8 is just wonderful because I just do that and I take the rook. Taking the rook makes so that my bishop is not hit anymore by the rook, and now I can just move my bishop so that when they take my rook, I take their bishop. Easy enough. And I check them. And we keep on going with the game. They try to do a little bit of counterplay. I take their pawns because they have two passes over here. Two passes. So 2 pawns I can just march down the board here. And that's bad for me, but they're not that far from the beginning. So they're far from the end, and I can just keep on going and take the advantage. So I blunder it, but I'm still winning, but they still check me, and then it's just losing because I just put my king here, making it so there is no check whatsoever, and they have no moves. And when I say they have no moves, they absolutely have no moves. Apart from, well, this one is just trying to check me some other ways, but it's useless because when I go here, I check them. See, which is extremely important. And then I take the last pawn, and I gotta just run my king. The goal is to make it go behind my rook, because this rook otherwise is gonna harass me, alright? This is very important. So I just run it, see, like this. It said I should have gone there to make the king less active. I don't care about that. And they just give me the advantage, you know, by giving me the rook. And what is crazy here, you might think it's a draw, but it's not actually a draw, because once my king gets over here, this king, once this pawn gets pushed, will have no moves. And will have to lend me that pawn, making so that I queen and I win the game. So it happens like this. And here you see they don't have any moves. If you click on the king, they don't have any moves protecting their pawns. So they go away, staying close to my pawn, but I just take, and again, they resign. Now, the third of the 5 games, this one is actually extremely short. As you can see, only 9 moves. I won in the opening. My openings are getting so sharp now that I can win in the opening. I'm not getting beaten anytime in the openings, I think. By 1000s. By 2000s, I will get absolutely clapped to the ground, but 1000s I would not, I believe. Anyways, we play a Scandinavian defense. My favorite opening is black. They take, I put my knight here, luring them into doing this usually, but most of my opponents at this, usually do the knight more than the pawn, so they do this, but this person decides to do this, which is a big commitment because now I can play this move. And this is still theory, they can take, but I take back. And the issue here is that I'm down a pawn. Let's not forget about that. But my development is way more powerful than them. They have nothing developed, but they do develop their knights. They had to find bishop out. How? I don't know. Anyways, so I pin their knight. I'm being aggressive because this is what I should do if I'm up development. They unpin their knight. I launch my central pawn into the middle of the board. If they take, that does not work at all because I can just take back and there's actually a free piece. Because this bishop is under attack twice, but it's defended once and twice, very important. So they can't take the pawn, we got that through. So they just play a random move, like this. This is still already kind of the opening-ish, but not for long, because because of this. And now, they're in trouble, because they have to take back with the bishop, and when they do, I launched with my pawn. And here, they blunder by actually doing something that looks quite actually natural, blocking with the queen. Because they the pawn cannot take it anymore. You just can't like make so that the pawn takes the bishop because it's pinned to the king. But, and that's a very big but, I have the move knight to d4, and as you can see, they just resign. Why do they resign? The best move is actually to not do anything in this position for them, because if they take with the bishop, actually take their queen, which is bad, of course. And if they just move their queens, let's say here, I just royal fork them, which pretty much any way they do this, like this, I just take that queen. That queen is gone with just this move. Okay? If they go back, I have this. Okay? I win a bishop, and they can't really take it back, but they can take it back like this. But that just creates instability, and I'm up 5 points of material, but I'm only 1 right now. But my attack is so strong that you just can't go through it. And that's how I won my 3rd game. Let's go on now with the 4th game here, where I had a nice tactic, and the end is actually quite funny. As you can see, it's just drawn at the end, just fully drawn. Absolutely drawn. But with me, never, ever like this. Because we start off with an opening here, and we have pretty much me being annoyed by this pawn being extremely strong, actually. I misplaced my queen. They misplaced their horse badly. This is not a good move whatsoever. Okay. Now, I put my queen here. They protect their pawn. Basic. So I cannot take the pawn because if I do, boop, 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 I'm down a queen. And to be down a queen is bad. It's bad, very bad. Alright, so we don't want that. We didn't do that. We instead attack the bishop and defend and make so that the queen does not see the pawn anymore. So they took with the knight, and then I took back with the pawn. Very important to take back with the pawn and not the queen, because otherwise you would have to do a queen trade, and doing a queen trade in this situation would be bad for me. So they just played a random move again. And I put my bishop there, but now they hit me with a actually very brutal move that is knight to g4. Let me tell you something. Knight to g4, and I was like, oh my god. I was like this. I was just done for. And I try to do a little bit of tactic here, checking like this and then like this. So if they don't take the bishop like this, actually there I can win the rook. Very instructive. But they still didn't take, and I wanted to get the knight off because I was scared of actually this. I was very scared, but what the computer says I needed to do was actually go through all that somehow, and just not care about that. To me, no. So I just get clapped. I just get clapped with the move knight to e5, and you're gonna say, how are you gonna win this game? You're gonna be down 4 points of material. Yes, I am. And I'm gonna trade my queen. And I traded my queen. So now I'm actually up here. I'm actually down well, if you could say, I'm up a negative of 4 points of material. But yes, I'm in a bad situation. And they have naughty, they have naughty ideas over there with this bishop to check me and just trade everything off of me. That's their goal. Trade everything off and go into winning a game. But I don't go down without a fight. Alright? They check me, making so I just can't cast it anymore. So I go there, I attack their knight, but their knight is already protected. Kind of an issue. So I go like this, and then I hit them with the move knight here. And the interesting thing is that they just take my bishop. I take their bishop, but I threaten this. This knight goes here. That's the thing I threaten. There's a little fork here, but then they hit me with this. And again, I'm fucked. Okay, I am absolutely fucked. Why? Because I'm gonna lose my knight. Like this. I lost my knight. And now I'm still down 4 points of material, even though I had counterplay, but I don't have any counterplay anymore. So I retrieve my bishop, attacking their knights. The knight checks me. I run here, and they castle. So now I am down a whole whopping 4 points of material, and my king is having a smoke break. Yeah, it's bad. It's just bad. So, how do I go on to win the game? I'll give you an advice. Look at the clock. Look at the clock, because the clock is actually 5:20 at this point. Okay? And mine is at 6:27. So I'm up a minute. Okay? I'm up a full minute on the clock, which is very important in a 10-minute game. So, they check me, they get my rook, so now I'm down 6 points of material, even worse. But I'm still gonna win the game, somehow. I just have to activate God mode once again. So I just do, I guess. I put my rook here, attacking the bishop, making so it can't go here anymore. And the bishop retrieves back. And I can see here, I have a plan there now. I want to push my pawn here to then push this pawn right there, making so that they trade off. Hopefully the rook won't be there anymore, so I can trap this bishop and get it. But I will still be down 3 points of material. To tell you how bad the situation is, you can see now. So I start going with this plan, and he sees it, or she, I don't know. And they make a little escape tunnel for the bishop. I play this, they check me, I move here, they take the pawn, which is a really nice move, and now I want to scare them off. Because now my only hope is just making them blunder. And how do you make an opponent blunder? You just make them stress. And that is exactly what I did. I make them stressed. This move, by the way, is useless to me. They attack the bishop, but the bishop is protected by the king, so it's fine. I play this, they take, I take, and I threaten to put my pawn here, okay? But not right now, because there is all of this, okay? So now, I do this, they do this, and I get my rook in. I infiltrate, actually. And now they connect their pawns, which is even worse for me. Because now this is a 2-on-1. 2 pawns. I'm not a pawn. My king is not a pawn. Versus 1 pawn. My pawn. Okay, and this is just winning for them. Let's be dead clear. It's dead winning. I can take the pawn, but I decided to go with the bishop and put a bit more pressure over there. Okay, simply enough. I can still take the pawn, but I don't. And I go like this. What they were threatening here, if I went, let's say like this, it's actually, yeah, naughty things. Okay, and they just win my pawn, and now they're just winning, okay? So, I just run away, and I get my bishop here, and my idea is to actually put the bishop there so I can then take the pawn, but the pawn is just going to start running. And when it goes there, my bishop will be there, and I cannot take this because then my bishop would be just gone. So no. But they check me. I run. They pin my bishop to the king. I run to their rook. I attack their rook moves to the back rank. As they cannot go here, but the best move I think for them was like, well, they say the engine stays it's to just push and not give a damn about it. I wouldn't say so. For me, it's just this. It's just to take the bishop and win. But they let me have a bit of counterplay here, and yeah, now it's made in 5, as you can see. But they don't find it. And I play this, making it so that this square over there is protected twice, making so they can't really. If they just promote to a queen, I just take the bishop, they take with the rook, and now it's rook versus bishop. Okay, so rook versus bishop is actually not the best for them, but it's better for me, and it's very, very hard to deal with. But the game doesn't go like this. We have this, where actually this is quite risky of them, because I take, they don't, well, they take, but I take their rook here. Okay, I take their rook, and they don't do anything about it. And here I needed to pick the pawn. Okay, but I went tunnel vision. I went what you call tunnel vision. I take the rook. There's also a good move, but they promote. So yeah, I had to give up my rook, and they took it, and now it's just bishop versus rook and bishop. And I'm completely lost. I'm completely lost, but if you look at the time again, the time control is at 1 minute and 15 seconds, and I'm just making moves. And it just starts to go a bit lower, and they blundered into a draw, giving me the rook. I went from -6 with the king smoking already the open to this. A drawn position. Completely drawn. What did I do next? I wanted to protect back my pawn. They protected theirs. I protected mine. Like this. And I put my bishop there. Now that the position is locked here, I needed to push. Push every piece in every direction. As long as the pawn don't meet and I don't lose material, I'm winning. I'm winning on time. And that is how, from the 56th here, 55, 55th to the 76th, this is move. I just stole out the clock, not making the same moves, otherwise that would have been a draw. I run my king, I make my king go for a little bit of a run, and they just can't do anything. And the clock, you can see, slowly runs out. And I win on time. And that is how I get to 994 elo. And there is now my final game, the 1000 elo game. And this was an absolutely wonderful, in terms of craziness of a game, but I ended up winning. I won 5 games back to back to get to 1000 elo. Let's watch this. Let's classic opening again. We close the center. They take though. They're being aggressive there. They are being aggressive. I take back with the queen. They kick my queen out. I put my queen there. They take the pawn. Very nice of them. I play here. They do a mistake because I can get now my knight in, and I throw in this pawn. So they have to get their knight like this, which is what they did, I think. Yeah. But I had to see knight here. No, thank you. I wanted to just pin them out of this world, but they're just not pin right there, and they just play random moves. And here I just start being myself aggressive. I started myself being aggressive, and they actually did a mistake. But I still didn't get the mistake. What did you think? That I was gonna just get this game like this? No, that's not happening whatsoever. And they get their knight into here. And when I play this, it's not so clear what they need to do. Their knight is hanging and it just can't get out. See? It just cannot get out. So they have to protect the knight. And the only move that protects the knight is queen goes to to a3, excuse me. And that is wild. That is absolutely wild to me. Because simply enough, their queen and their knight is restricted by one rook. One rook paralyzes a knight and a queen, but somehow it's still equal. And we just play the game. I attack their rook moves. I play here, like this. I force their king out, so they can't castle anymore. I take like this, and I take like this. This was a sequence of moves where I always had a check. Very important. They block with the bishop, and now I blunder. I needed to come and protect this knight, because otherwise the queen would have gone there. But I was focusing on my attack, so I went like this. And that again blunders. This is what they did. Yeah, this is what they did. And that actually blunders a lot for me, because I cannot really play anymore this move, because they would just take mine and just be gone with it. But I still play this move, because I'm an idiot. But that's still equal somehow. And they actually are now winning. Because this position for me is really stressful, so I have to move my king. I would say I had to move my king, but I actually did not have to move my king. I had to give up my knight and fight this somehow, but that's not happening. That is absolutely not happening. And so they took with the rook, making so I had to go out, and they took my knight, I took their knight, and now it's mate in 3. So in my last game of trying to become 1000 elo, I could have gone mated in 3 moves. 3. Okay. And this is how. See? This is like, all this is taken, and this is taken by the queen. So they needed to find queen here, then I had to move here, otherwise they would checkmate me on there. That would be a shame. I had to move here, and this is actually the right way to do it, because of checkmate. The queen checkmates the king. But that didn't happen, of course. And they played queen here, making me retreat over there, and now I'm actually safe. I'm actually safe, somehow. And they actually give me back the equality, because I can play queen takes pawn. For me, that was the best of ideas, but they say I had to sacrifice the knight to just get a queen to be chilling over with the king, so harassing them. Look, you have this, 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 and now the king is just getting clapped. Absolutely clapped. So yeah, that is what the engine wanted, but I didn't want that. So I took the pawn, and I protected from a distance, which they did not see. Okay? And therefore, they didn't see that this was completely losing. Because I take the rook. Taking the rook with my rook. Okay? I could have also taken with the queen, to be honest. Because they just had to take like that, and then they would have got my knight, but I was still winning. But the best way, the most forcing of ways, was to take with my rook, because it's force a response from the queen, and then I was just winning. Like this. See? And now I'm up a rook. And apart from that, the material is equal, but they keep on fighting. Let's not forget that they keep on fighting. They take that, they take like this. I push, they go here. I push, they go here. Very important to not blunder here because if I play a random move like this, which is queening by the way, this move would come in with tempo, and that would make me stress, and then they would check me, and I would go there. See, and that's main in 4, but I don't know it's main in 4, okay, for myself. And these ones are actually quite hard to deal with for me. I had to find a sequence of moves here. I don't think I would have found it main in 4. But anyways, so that's why I pin the pawn to the king, and now they're hopeless. So they move, I take the pawn, I sacrifice my rook for the pawn to get them to take my rook and get hit with this in check. And by respect, I of course take the other pawn, like this. They go on the last rank, weirdly. And by respect, I checkmate them with a king and queen with a checkmate. And this is how I achieved 1002 elo. If you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments or in DMs. And again, try it out for yourself really. Doing brilliant moves, doing blunders, doing God knows what is very, very funny. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And yeah, peace out.